Hey all, finally here with the probably final specialty Bionicle Sisters line, as I'm gonna call them, a classier name than the previous ones from the previous videos. You'll have to pardon the angle that I'm filming this at. I really wasn't sure what to do. This one's a particularly tall one, and I'm like already it's taking my like entire arm length to even reach out to her from this distance. So yeah, this was the only way I could think about filming it where you'd get a full proper shot of her while also leaving me in a position to adjust her as we examine different parts of her. So without further ado, let's just dive in. Yeah, so the white sister, the final sister, I'm truly out of curvy pieces and just basic connector joints at this point. And this is my fourth time filming this video for a multitude of reasons. More like fifth or sixth if we count like jerky little start-stop, mess ups on filming. But one of the reasons was I just wasn't happy with their design. I recorded this and I thought to myself, it took me 3 times to get one proper recording without any sort of like technical issues or stupid things. And then on that third time, I went, let me sit on this and see if I can't improve her a little further. And then, a week went by, real life got busy. And then I come back to her and I'm like, I've got to change something. So I did. As you can see, she's a wolf princess ballerina sort of blend. There's something feral and warrior-esque about her, but also there's something very trim and regal and sleek. So it's a unique blend of, again, Ice Princess and Ice Wolf, somewhere in between there. And every aspect of her body complements one half of that equation. So, for example, you can see she's got a mask that happens to have like little ears. The little ears. So that gives a sort of wolf impression. Her craggy hair looks like matted fur, especially the top there. It's very, very like wolf mane-esque. And of course, I gave her a giant tail, a giant axe tail, which I thought, oh, that's tasteful. But on the other hand, she's got the little like ballerina slippers design. She's got a very streamlined, curvy, flat chest, like a ballerina's leotard. Leotard? Anyway, you get what I'm saying. She's got that going for her. She's got a very bare and trim back, like a ballerina would. So there's a balance. Each element, she's got a little snowflake skirt on both sides, connected by a slave Leia bikini chain. Let me see if she's a little tricky to balance. Although ever since I added the tail, it's been a lot easier to balance her. I don't know if I'm going to end up including the older versions of this video so you can see her previous versions. I might include them all and make this one giant mega video. Probably will. But point is, she didn't have a tail before, nor did she have these little wiggly gray ball joints here are actually doing a lot to dynamically stabilize her wherever I set her down. So between those two additions, she's now able to stand pretty darn easily. You'll see in the previous videos, assuming I put them in there, she was very hard to pose because without those little ball joints wiggling around and dynamically stopping wherever the pressure's greatest, and without the tail, those wheel feet of hers, those cool skater feet she has, get it? Skater, ballerina. I hope the design philosophy is clear. Anyway, without those things, she was a slippery girl. She was, which fits the ice thing, but I mean, my God, she would just like, it was tricky to stabilize her. And I'm a big fan of like, detail at the cost of stability when it comes to Bionicles. I just love the idea of making them look as cool as possible. But with her, it was like past the point of tenability. It was just not acceptable. So, yeah, that's kind of her design philosophy, and you can see the little elements that go into it. Let's also take a closer look at her very simple hollow chest design, because again, I'm so low on parts. This is as good as it was going to get. Let me zoom in. God, I hope most of this video has not been out of focus. I apologize if so. I'm not doing like a 12th recording session or whatever it's been. Anyway, you can see she's a little hollow on the inside. The entire chest is anchored around this Toamari tube. The entire thing depends on it. As well as tactical placements of these like 3 long pins that are holding the chest, the oblique armor in place. You can see she's got a very skinny design, a very cool like glow through aspect. And I have little bits of green and the glacier blue and the dark blue from the chest I have them all there to kind of simulate how Arctic ice works. There tends to be a bit of green and various shades of blue in it. And you can see some more dark blue in like the Glatorian heads that I've used for the hips for these Taylor Swift toothpick legs. To again really sell the whole ballerina slim idea. Anyway, what was I talking about? Glaciers or some shit? Yeah. It's supposed to be like the Aurora Borealis, the Arctic ice, where, again, there's a mixture of cool colors that sort of radiate and glow throughout. Let me see if I can get her back fully in frame, or at least close there too. Yeah, nice. Anyway, so you can see she eats light very well. She has a curvy hourglass physique. That's the other thing. You'll see in the previous drafts of her, the physique was not so curvy. Mainly because I tried to create like a proper bra for her that had like, man, you'll see. You'll probably hear and see in the other videos that I'm going to stitch to this one what the idea was. But the point is, I tried to give her like a bikini top or like a like a ballerina outfit corset sort of thing, and it just didn't work. It bulked her up way too much, and it was all in the service of hiding the mask's pointy edges that crack the illusion that these are supposed to be like, milkers, to use the scientific term. So with that in mind, I then just used some black tubes that were previously on her arm, and I just looped them around to hide the sharp edges of those curves, and it works. It's elegant, it's simple. In a dream world, I had to have more parts to close up the seams here so that the blue would be completely concealed in her chest. And you wouldn't see the cracks, but hey, I'm low on parts, and honestly, there's a certain elegance in the simplicity, similar to Red's sister. If you go back and check out the other videos, she's full of air gaps like that, and she just looks like a sexy robot as a result. So if we treat this chick like that, it's fine. The only caveat here is that when I think of wolves and ballerinas, I really do tend to think of organic creatures, and so thematically, it's a little trickier, because she's not supposed to look quite as mechanical as the others. But then again, like if you look at the robot sisters from Atomic Heart, those two silver Russian bots, it's like, well, okay. But then again, they were pretty sealed up. That's neither here nor there. To explain the arm armor, again, I'm so low on armor that I really was desperate, and I was like, well, what can I do here that's uniform? So I went with this route because you can see balancing her is getting a little tricky. Her tail's not touching the ground right now, by the way, just for your knowledge. So the reason I did this arm armor is because A, her shoulders need to be small. That's one of the tricks to all of these Gunnar bots' femininity is small shoulders. That's the broader and bigger they are, the more masculine the creation looks. So you want to keep the shoulders tight and small. However, you don't want to leave the arms barren and anemic and see-through as though they're like hollow bones, because then it looks like an off-the-shelf Bionicle set, which those tended to look horrible. The idea was that they were really just parts packs for your own imagination if you knew what you were doing. So I didn't want to mimic that. Like, dude, you guys remember Toomari Nuparu? That was one of the ugliest, most skeletal sets I've ever seen LEGO release. And I understand that was part of the design philosophy, but holy, and that the thing was limited by budget, according to the designer himself. He has a vlog series on YouTube. But my god, that set was so disgustingly anemic. So, because I hate anemic designs that much, but I still need to keep her relatively thin and skinny, but I wanted to patch some of those holes, I put these here, and they're kind of like, those poofy tops that women will wear where, like, they're at bare shoulders, but they kind of flare out around the bicep, fabric-wise. They kind of just poof, and then bare shoulders. That's kind of the idea here. You can even see this design philosophy go all the way back to like royalty gowns and whatnot. The sleeves would sometimes have these like mid-arm poofs back in like the medieval days. So this is like old school. It's kind of time transcendent. You know what I mean? All the way from, again, the European folklore up to like Romeo and Juliet, up to now with modern day tops. So that's kind of the idea. And then just using it here as well was sort of so I could, again, simulate the curvature of a woman's back where it goes, shoulder blades go out, then the small of the back goes in, and then we jut out again for the bum, which in her case happens to have a tail attached. I wanted the bum to be a little bit bigger, but frankly, it's impossible. And you'll see this across all my drafts. of her. In order to keep the snowflake bikini bottom, the snowflake skirt, mini skirt, as well as retain the wide thigh structure, as well as just work within the confines of the pieces I had. This was as jutted as her bum was ever going to get. So she is certainly one of the skinnier, not one of the skinnier, she is the skinniest girl by far of the group. And that's why in the previous videos I referred to her as Taylor Swift, you know what I mean? Lacking in the sort of hyper curvy femininity that I tend to prefer. But you know what? With the pieces I have, who really cares? Who cares if there's a little diversity in the line? God forbid I represent different body types and body positivity and whatever else I choose to promote with my collection of goofy little plastic figures, you know? So, yeah, certainly the skinniest of the bunch, but, you know, it's ironically, she probably has the biggest chest of all four of them. But it just doesn't look that way because of the way her tummy juts out from that Glatorian mask. It's all very fascinating stuff. And the gray hands. That, again, was another byproduct of just piece limitations. I only had one white Glatorian fist, and the other little hand pieces I had just did not look good with her. They didn't match up. So I had to go with gray, but in order to counteract that, again, I put the gray stoppers in her feet, and her tail has a gray connector joint. And her neck, it has a little gray joint too. So there are little limbic gray accents throughout her that help ground those fists so they don't feel totally out of place. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. You can tell a lot of thought went into this. Just one more detail I want to point out. You'll notice that right around the skirt, I thicken the inner thighs, like they get bigger and bigger as they go in. A little more detail, just to insinuate that they're conjoining under there. And concealing something. So that's kind of the long and short of it. You can see her head. A lot of design went into that. I guess I'll zoom in one more time here. You can see a lot of wacky angles make this happen. You can see that not all of the pins go in all the way. So they're just resting in place. A lot of them are resting halfway in place. And it works simply because there are so many of them resting against each other. It's not an illegal build at all. There's no friction or anything. It's just a lot of halfway connections all kind of holding each other in place, Jenga tower style. So yeah, this video went on way longer than I anticipated. Sorry about that, but I did want to do justice for the final one of these MOCs. Probably will be the last one simply because, you know, there's not much else. I made a little Lego MOC, one of the weird ones that combine Lego and Bionicle pieces out of whatever spare parts I had remaining. But I think I'm out for a while until I either come across more parts or return to a storage facility of mine that happens to have a good couple more lying around. So anyway, for the foreseeable future, this is it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I cap this video with some nice photos of some sort. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for tagging along and being so supportive about these goofy little creations of mine. It means a lot, you know. If you've watched this far, you know, say something cool in the comments. You know what I mean? Show off your Bionicle knowledge. Do something. I loved it. There was a comment in one of the earlier vids where the dude's like, "Oh, I appreciate that you're only using Bionicle parts from the original 10-year run and you're not mixing them with any Lego or second gen Bionicle or any Hero Factory. Really cool, man. Nice and classic." That's the kind of comment I love. Or the other one where I did the green chick video, and someone's like, "Oh wow, the Anika heads used for that purpose? Oh, I gotta steal that technique." I love that stuff. I love hearing you guys be super nerdy and in the weeds with it like I am. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Can't wait to read your comments. Bye. Hey all, here with what is likely to be the final Bionicle mock update for a while. I say that every time, but sometimes I mean it, and sometimes I take years off before returning. So yeah, decent chance this will probably be it though, simply because I am completely out of many vital parts at this point. So what you see before you, she's probably the final one, simply because the connectors. I don't know what the technical term is, but the little like ball joint with Technic clip pieces that connect virtually every Bionicle. I'm basically all out of those. So more or less impossible to make another one of the Gunnar series at this scale. You know what I mean? And even shrinking down, I'm just so low on curvy parts in general that if I were to make some sort of like little short stack dwarf Bionicle, it'd be tricky. It'd be real tricky. And I don't mean like in a fun way. I mean like banging my head against a wall sort of challenge. Because this is kind of already... This was a doozy to produce as it was. You can see she's super tall. She's the snowy white sister, sort of a white wolf slash ballerina, you know, some sort of frozen princess warrior hybrid. Somewhere in between there. Somewhere between, you know, Disney on Ice and Viking chick. She's like a hybrid of those two design philosophies, those two aesthetics. And as you can see, she's a lot taller than the other sisters. To take the shortest one as an example, Blue Sister, her you know, tit twin is what we would call her. I'm not sure, but point is, you can see she's about a full head taller than her sibling, and she is the tallest of all four of these sisters, as well as even a little bit taller than the big black Papa Smurf Bionicle from previous mock updates. So she's huge. Let's take a closer look at her now that I've done all that preamble. If I don't edit it out, sorry. So first off, we've got the head. It's a different approach than I normally take. You can see it's sort of like a wolf mask almost, with like a suggestion of a glowing face underneath via this like translucent chin element. You wouldn't believe how complex this head is under the hood, underneath all that armor. We've got the Pridak foot. Pridak, as the designer of that figure pronounces it. Fun fact. Anyway, all these wacky, barely possible connections. Like you can see this doesn't even slide in all the way, but it is perfectly aligned such that everything holds together just via mutual like pin pressure and tension. It's an extraordinarily tricky design, and that's just because I'm so strapped for parts, I had to get beyond creative. You can see I invented just a little gear necklace, kind of like the giant one on the Egyptian poison sister, the green one, just to cover up the chest area of the solar plexus so that it really does look like the tits are being compressed or being pushed together. Obvious, you know, master artisan at work. Moving a little lower, she's using the, what's his name, Thok? I forget the guy's name. No, that's the Paraka. I forget the Frost Glatorian's name. It's something very similar to that, though. It starts with a G, doesn't it? Like Gladius? Oh, God, I'm so close. Anyway, that's the midriff. You can see she's got something of a tit harness to basically just to hide the hard edges of these masks, because the sharp edge at the bottom completely shatters the illusion of this being some sort of breastplate. Just completely ruins it. So by adding this like sort of like bra cover, it's like, oh, you know, maybe these are what they visually allude to being. Again, if I had more pieces, I'd cover up the entirety of the side so it would look like less of a mechanical sex bot, more of like a proper, well-rounded thing like the others. But, you know, we do what we can with virtually no pieces. You can take a peek on the inside. You can see the blue shining through. It's very cool in a translucent way. Nice and glacial. And that's, by the way, why the green is here. It's all to give the green, the cyan, and the deep blue. It's all supposed to give different hues of like a glacier. You know what I mean? Or an aurora borealis type of thing. Anyway, so you can take a look inside. You will notice the entirety of the chest is hinging on one Toamari tube. A tube that wraps around from one side to the other via just two connections. Sorry, three actually. One right at the center and underneath the mask. That holds everything in place. All these elements are dangling off of it, but they're so smushed together they can't afford to move. So I find that to be, again, out of desperation. That is the construction strategy here. But it works somehow, some way. You've got the little bra chain, the tit chain. Originally, and this was me being like as Gunnar as possible, she had a different design. Originally, her hair, these things were actually used as like giant, like I don't even know how to describe it, like an
Emma Frost Marvel Rivals premium costume sort of design, where the ice glacier pieces were like flaring out to make it look like the top of a dress, with like the cleavage barely exposed in between. And at that point, this chain was actually stapled to the dead centers of both sides of the breastplate, so it looked like basically clamps with a chain. Now that sounds a lot more erotic than what we've ended up with, but in reality, the design itself buried the blue so deep in that you could barely notice it. So it looked more masculine. It looked far too masculine overall because it gave her. If you thought she was Dorito shaped now, which really I wouldn't say she is, she's more of an hourglass, like a top heavy hourglass. Before, I mean, she was really Dorito shaped, which is why I held off on making this video until I got the design a little bit closer to something I'd consider to be final. So as we work our way down, you can see the snowflake skirt, which again leans into the ballerina thing, but also the Viking kilt sort of deal. Although those are Scottish people who wear kilts. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can see I had to get really crafty with using the Glatorian skulls as hips to kind of widen her out. So again, she would look more hourglassy rather than masculine and triangular. You know what I mean? We don't want a Chris Evans Dorito. We want Black Widow Scarlett Johansson. So yeah, I had to get super crafty with the parts I had to pull this off. Again, the long black bar pieces, they keep the blue in check, but they also give the illusion that her thighs converge underneath the skirt to somewhere that you're not supposed to see per the skirt. So, and you can see there's like the little chain suggestion of like a proper metal bikini a la Slave Leia. Same thing with the top chain. It's all supposed to give sort of a Slave Leia vibe. So she has a skirt on both sides, and this thing is barely held together. It's held together purely via friction. This long brown pole is a cross piece, not a circle pin. So it's barely lodged in there. There is one circle pin holding all of this together. And the back is completely loose, barring just the tension of the chain pushing it all together. It's insanely crazy. And by the way, you can see I added these mainly to fill in the back so it didn't look as gappy in the back. And so here it's like the suggestion of a bum, right? The idea that there is some sort of mechanical bum converging here. And from any sort of distance, it looks a lot more, the illusion grows stronger. So yeah, again, really strapped for curvy pieces. I constantly alternated between using these and these for their respective parts. The blue and the white, I kept swapping them back and forth until I landed on something that looked good. She's got very sleek, streamlined thighs. Basically, she's like the Taylor Swift of these Gunnar MOCs in that most men who have any desire for like a fertile frame on their women, they're not going to find Taylor Swift attractive. She's just sort of this like weirdly cleanly aesthetic toothpick of a creature. But again, under the right lighting with the right little goofy skirts, magic can be made via the power of production. And that's kind of what's going on with her, right? So that's the vibe. You can see she's got roller skate feet just because I thought that would be fun. I was thinking of, what's her name? Go-Go from Big Hero 6? I don't know. The one who looks like Tron, basically. Goes around, running on disc feet, throwing discs and neon frisbees everywhere. Yeah, let me put her back into frame. Sorry if I've been bouncing around a little with her, by the way. I've got a hard time looking at the phone camera from this perspective. Also, you'll notice balancing her is a hell of a task on anything that's not a hard surface, like this cushy cube. That's her biggest weakness. And that's not even a structural thing due to lack of pieces. That's just the design for the feet is inherently a little wibbly wobbly slidey. Can I even do it? Yeah. See, on a flat surface, really not hard. You just aim them down, and then you fumble for like 20 minutes on camera. Oh, there you go. But then her legs snapshot, and it's the curse of the thigh gap. So, yeah, fun to slide around. Not very good on soft surfaces. I will slide her over to the wooden table, because that's as good as this is going to get. Sorry. It's the most Canadian sorry I ever said, and I'm not Canadian. All right, there. There she is, and to fill the frame, put her in there. I give up. Hey all, filming this video for the fourth and hopefully final time because, goodness golly, just a comedy of errors. First time, I just chose a bad surface to film it. Second time, filmed it vertically by accident, didn't even realize what I was doing. Third time, filmed it with some personal information exposed in the background. Just so stupid. Just never ends. So, fourth time is hopefully the charm. Here is the White Sister, the final of the saga. You'll see, starting from the ground up, wheelies, very thin, rail-thin Taylor Swift toothpick thighs, which then start to converge and conjoin near the center, give the suggestion of you-know-what beneath the skirt. Glutorian head pieces, skull pieces, as the hips. That Glutorian is the chest. We then move up to the rest of the hourglass, the top half. She's a little top-heavy for an hourglass, but that's what it is. The suggestion of some sort of harness for the big blue booba to basically, I only put these here to cover up the sharp edges of the masks because, you know, it would ruin the illusion. So yeah, just completely exposed right out. Solar plexus necklace like the green sister had. Asymmetrical arms like the blue sister had. You'll notice she does not have a Glutorian hand like the axe hand. I wish she did, but I'm that strapped for parts. I literally am all out of every part of importance, like including these basic connectors, these ball joint connectors. I'm out of those. So she really used up every last piece I had. So yeah, this is almost definitely the final sister, unless I somehow come into wealth, come across more parts or whatever the case might be. You can see her head is extraordinarily complex. Let's get a closer look at this masked face, which, I initially viewed it as this, like this was her face and this was like a hat, but then my partner goes, yeah, to me it looks like more of a mask, and I go, what? So yeah, and I like her perspective on it, frankly. Like this is a mask, and this is like the suggestion of a chin, right? She's got a glowing face underneath that's completely hidden. This very complex head. You can see all these bizarre angles that make up the connection. None of it's illegal, by the way. None of it's forced. It's all very safe and stable. But it's all like half connections, that just wedge it in place. It's incredibly tricky. Can't believe I pulled it off. But yeah, it results in this like glacial long haircut, more wolf-like. Again, she's like a wolf princess, some sort of like warrior ballerina. This is sort of the hybrid I'm going for. I wanted a visually cohesive contradiction is what I call her. The back, of course, I tried to simulate the curvature of a female back as best I could with my limited parts. So you'll see shoulder blade protrusion, then it goes inward for the small of the back, protrudes again as we get closer to the ass, as a tailbone would. This connection that holds the back of the skirt is it's flexible, but also it's just baffling. It's not even held in place by anything secure. It's using this brown pin just to stay aligned, but it's not actually plugged in. So yeah, it's crazy, and it's really only staying there because of the chain, which is sort of like the slave layout metal bikini thing going on. So that's the quick, snappy overview of her. Oops. And as you can see, the wheels make it a little tricky for her to stay standing, but, I guess we'll end the video on that. Thanks for watching. I'm starting to think I'm never going to get this video right. So, where we left off was, I'd finally filmed a version of this that I was kind of happy with, and then I realized, no, I'm not happy, because I really hated her asymmetrical hands, mainly because one of them, the left one here, just looked like some bullshit. It looked like a standard off-the-shelf $10 Toa set hand from back in the day, which I hated. These are supposed to be deluxe, premium, fancy figures, these, the Gunnar Bionicles. So I gave her a wolf claw, a little two-finger thing, so it's elegant, more elegant than using a Paraka claw with 3 fingers, like over here, where it's big and bulky and gross and vaguely masculine. And this is a little more feminine in terms of the White Sister's, wolf ballerina vibe, right? So this is the Viking hand, the ballerina half, and this would be like the more wolf feral half. So I think it works as far as asymmetry goes. It's certainly more elegant than my previous solution of just stitching a Ratuka spinner on there and just going, nub hand, like she's some sort of like fucked up amputee. No disrespect to amputees, but you get what I'm saying. It's not supposed to look like that. And sadly, though, with this hand, the big issue is that, let me see if I can zoom in on it. Can't. Again, I'm so strapped for parts that this thing's got like shattered joints. Like there are little fractures in the connector. So it's stable enough, thankfully, because it's just one part. But if I added any other parts on top of that, it'd probably be too heavy to retain its rigidity thanks to those snapped brackets. Anywho, so yeah, this is now the final design of her. And that's that. And by final, I mean, yeah, sure. Anyway, so yeah, wolf sister, wolf white sister, white wolf sister, looking a little bit better with the black claw hand that at least fits her color scheme. Yeah, thanks for watching, even though you're probably still watching because I'm probably going to edit this into the big one.